state that this meeting is being held in compliance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231. It was properly noticed and has been posted and certified by the clerk. For those meetings that will be held remotely, instructions and meeting access will be available on the town website, www.hopatcong.org. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hopatcong.
Here.
Ms. Johnson.
Here.
Ms. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Schindler.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Young.
Here.
Mayor Francis.
Here. Please join me for a moment of silent reflection and then the flag salute. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There are no proclamations, and we'll start the meeting tonight with the auction of public property. John, would you take over from here?
The mayor. Tonight we have two pieces of property to auction off. Ron, would you give instructions to people who want to bid on the auction as to how they bid?
Yes, for all of you that are wanting to bid on the auction, when the auction announced the property that you're interested in, go to the reaction button that's on the lower right of the screen, click that and raise your hand, and I'll get you into the auction and you can participate from that point. Okay.
So we have two auctions tonight. The first one is 6 Francis Avenue. This is block 10106, lot 15. This auction was authorized by ordinance 7-2021. The minimum bid is $3,425. This auction is limited to adjoining property owners required to merge this property with their lot. So do we have any bidders who are willing to bid the opening minimum bid of $3,425 for 6 Francis Avenue?
Jeff and Kim, you're on.
Yeah, we'll have to bid and we'll go full.
You're offering $3,425 to bid on the property.
Absolutely.
So we have one bid for the minimum bid. Is there anyone else in the audience who would bid a higher amount than $3,425? Ron, I don't see any hand raised. Do you?
No, sir.
So that'll be going once, twice, and it'll be final. Mayor, I would recommend that the council pass a resolution accepting the bid of $3,425 for 6 Francis Avenue.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hopatcong.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson. Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Schindler.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Hanf, we ask, under normal circumstances, at the time of the auction, you present the deposit required by the ordinance and the $450 that goes with it. In virtual times, we extend the courtesy of asking you to deliver that deposit and that fee to the municipal building by the close of business on Friday. If you don't deliver by the close of business on Friday, the auction is not binding and it'll be returned to the real estate committee and the council. Once you deliver the deposit check, the administrator clerk will notify me, we will write you a letter, and then you'll decide whether you're gonna have an attorney and a title company, and we can communicate, but we can complete the transaction from there. Any questions?
None at all.
Okay, thank you for bidding.
Great, thank you.
The next auction we have is for 130 West End Avenue. That is block 11009, lot 19. This was authorized by ordinance 9-2021 with a minimum bid of $3,600. This auction is also limited to adjoining property owners. Is anyone here tonight to bid on 130 West End Avenue at the minimum bid of $3,600?
I don't see anybody yet. I don't see the name of the requestee here either, Mr. Urson.
Okay, we'll just pause for a moment. Is anyone here to bid on 130 West End Avenue? Okay, so Mayor, at this time, with no one in the audience prepared to offer the minimum bid of $3,600 for 130 West End Avenue, the auction is completed unsuccessfully, and this property can be referred back to the Real Estate Committee for a recommendation at a future date. No actions needed where there's no bid. That completes the auctions that we have listed on the agenda tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll go to committee report. Dawn, we'll start with you.
Okay, just a couple of things. First, though, I would like to say thank you to Friends of the Community Center that have recently donated so much baby things. We got a lot of diapers, formula, certain paraphernalia that goes along with raising a baby, taking care of an infant. So thank you. It's a big help. We have a lot of families that benefited from that. I also want to give a reminder that the Journey bus will be in the parking lot outside the community center on Tuesday, 5/11, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So that's next Tuesday. And there's still time to join in on the senior caregiver support group, which is May 18th. And that class starts here at the community center at 5:30 p.m. That's the senior caregiver support group. And we still have some openings for that for anyone else that would like to sign up. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Brad up.
Mayor, the Hopatcong Environmental Commission has placed an informative display as you enter Borough Hall on the right with details various invasive species that are a problem in our geographical area. And I'd like to just thank Willis Scandaberry for her outstanding job. I think you're going to see this so that the next time you're in Borough Hall, please take some time and check it out. The next thing I have to speak about is the, speaking of invasive weeds and plants, the Lake Commission has been advised that New Jersey State will no longer be weed harvesting in our lake. All of the harvesters will be retitled back to the Lake Hopatcong Commission. Bids were put out to numerous entities, but as of today's date, no bids have been received. The third thing I need to talk about is a little involved, and it is in your packet, and I'm going to ask Ron, I believe, to pull up. It has to do with the sign and also new rules that will be incorporated in our dog park at Jefferson Field. And I would like to just take some time and everybody just scan down, if they haven't already looked at it, is the dog park rules and regulations for our new dog park there. And while this is not in the final form in terms of looking like a sign, it would be very close to it. And if you can or cannot read it, I'll go through it as quick as I can. The dog park is open sunrise to sunset. Use is at the owner's risk. The borough is not responsible for any injuries you or your dogs may suffer. Small dogs but enter the large dog area under any circumstances, and large dogs must not enter the small dog area under any circumstances. No dog in heat enter the dog park. Puppies under 4 months old are prohibited. Dogs must be properly inoculated and display current license. Dogs over 6 months old must be spayed or neutered. No more than 2 dogs per person are permitted to park at one time. No human or dog food, bones, rawhide, or chew toys in the dog park, as dog fights may result. Close and secure gates before releasing the dog in the dog park. There'll be additional signage there, by the way, for anyone to see what the proper procedure is there. The super law will be strictly enforced inside as well as outside the dog park. No dog known to be aggressive towards other dogs or people or exhibiting other threatening behavior may enter the dog park. Dog owners are responsible for always controlling their dogs. Owners must closely supervise their dogs, and at no time should an owner leave the run without their dogs. Dogs must be supervised by persons 18 years or older. Children under 9 years of age are prohibited in the dog park. Children over the age of 9 should not be permitted to run with or chase dogs in the dog park. Dogs must be on a leash outside the dog park. Remove or dispose of personal items, chairs, water dispensers, bowls, etc. No glass receptacles, alcohol, smoking. No prong, that is pinch, choke, or spike collars permitted in the park. If your dog inflicts injury, you are responsible. The Borough of Hopatcong reserves the right to prohibit any dog or person from using the dog park. The rule is under the discretion of the Borough Animal Control Officer. And I invite anyone that has any questions that I can answer or any suggestions or changes, please feel free to let me know, because I need to hand this off to John Urson to either incorporate it into the existing ordinance or change or create a new ordinance for the Jefferson Field.
So Bradley, I have a question.
Sure.
Is there any way that we can make this just for Hopatcong residents?
It is my understanding that Jefferson Field was purchased under open space fund, and therefore it is open to the public of the state of New Jersey. John Urson, if you want to say anything different along that line, if I don't have that correct, please feel free to jump in.
Yeah, so I have not been part of researching that, but if it was purchased with Green Acres money, typically the restrictions that you indicated, Brad, are correct. The other thing, Rich Schindler, I think even if that wasn't the case, I think you would have an enforcement issue, that could possibly be dealt with. But if it's Green Acres property, then I think we don't get to that second issue.
It was
Okay.
Green Acres. It was Green Acres.
Brad, I have a question. And only because I have a puppy, so I have a brand new puppy. I've had him for like 3 months.
Okay.
When you say small dogs and large dogs, should
And-
there be like a weight specification? Because my dog is not like large, but he's, 40 pounds. So like, is that large or small?
Well, I would think in the 40-pound range, it's almost borderline. I'm open if we want to come up with a weight standard as well. Or Rich, you want to weigh in on that at all?
Yeah, we've had dogs for plenty of years and stuff. A 40-pound dog is more of like a medium dog. So I would say that they would be able to hold their own in the large dog park area. I think, Brad, what you're trying to do here with the small and large areas is that more the petite dogs or the smaller,
Right,
20 and
chihuahuas,
less.
Poodles.
What's
and
that?
things.
Breed, the little
like
breeds.
chihuahuas and Yorkies.
Or Malteses or,
Right, right.
that
But if
type
we
of
put,
thing.
like small being 20 pounds and under, it's because,
That might work. Yeah, Jen, that might be a good suggestion. Put a weight limit or something on it.
We
Yeah.
something like that.
we can put that in there, Jen. That's no problem. I'll just let me double check with the vet on the weight.
And Bradley, I would, if you want, Gianna has a standard definition of that. I don't know.
Okay.
She
That would be great.
Yeah.
Can we, and this is, can we put a nominal fee on this? Is that something that, just to sort of keep it so, one of the things we want to have happen is everyone have a dog license, right? And we've been trying to get that going with Gianna, and we used to have people go out, walk the town and check with the neighbors and stuff. And this might be one way of $5, $10 for a year that would just, I don't know how we do it, but make it so they have to.
It would cost more to charge,
License.
would cost more to charge a fee and administer it than the fee is worth. And if we're requiring a dog license to be there, that it's doing what we're trying to do. But collecting the fee is just, there's a cost to collecting fee. And then
Right.
then
Okay.
making sure you pay them. So that's just a whole nother more red tape. I would be reluctant to do that.
Okay, all right.
Rich, also to further this, we're looking at this as a one-time shot to see how it's accepted. If it's accepted, then we may go to build more dog parks. And if it's used, I mean, a lot, and then we can come back and address any type of thing if we have a certain size
Right.
entity along that line.
Okay. One other point I would like, we should talk to John about this, but, you know, the number 7, dogs be properly inoculated and displayed current license.
Right.
One of the things that was brought up to me by my wife, who was a veterinarian, she had mentioned that, you know, we really should have the dogs have a negative fecal form test for parasites, because a dog does defecate in the area, even though it's cleaned up, the parasites can get onto the grass and then be transferred to other dogs. So that's just a suggestion too.
Okay. Any other input? Mike, I think we're good.
All right. You have more, or that's it?
No, that's it. Do we need to come back and vote on this at some point during this meeting or make a motion later?
Yeah,
Well-
Brad, I would say not vote on it on this meeting. Let me put it in a form where we figure out whether it's going, I'm presuming it'll go into park rules, but we're going to put it in our code somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, and Brad, or will somebody send it to me?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
And then we'll come back with the final version for council's pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you for your time.
That would be good. And also, we're gonna have Gianna look at this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, Rich, you're up.
I am up. Okay, so we have an ordinance tonight that's on the slate for 5 pieces of property. They all are non-conforming, but they all have people that are interested in them. So I would hope everyone will vote to move that forward. It's ordinance 12-2021. Other than that, I'm going to keep it short because we have the budget. Go ahead.
Thank you. John, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I would like to wish everyone wherever applicable, happy Mother's Day this Sunday. From the Environmental Commission, we had discussion about doing an exhibit at the Hopatcong Marketplace when that gets started in June. And the marketplace, we were informed, is talking about doing one Sunday a month, I believe the first Sunday of the month, and that may be when the Environmental Commission is there. We had discussion about the invasive species. Brad already told you about the display that was put in Borough Hall. We also talked about doing some kind of a work party to try and eliminate some of the automolive that's all over the driveway going up to Hilltop. And of course, like Brad said, we had a conversation about the dog park. The beautification committee was out in the past weekend doing some spring plantings. The New Jersey tree recovery tree giveaway went very well. There were 88 people there. And since then, there were about 50 to 60 trees left over. And the Environmental Commission hooked up with Cub Scouts Pack 88. And so we did not waste those trees. We planted them in the area of the police training facility that was built off Stanhope Sparta Road. So all the trees were made use of. One upcoming event is Earth Day hike on June 5th. That's going to be in the Roland and May Eves Sanctuary. I'm not sure of the time yet. As far as recreation, there's nothing for me to report other than street hockey has been going well. I do want to report from the Cannabis Committee. A number of weeks ago, Councilman Smith and myself attended a cannabis law webinar that was sponsored by the League of Municipalities. If I said it was interesting, that would be an understatement. 2 pages of notes from that webinar. Since then, Mayor Francis, Councilman Smith, and myself attended a similar, much shorter webinar that was sponsored by Sussex County. And we learned there that Green Township was discussing opting out. And I've learned that since then, Byram Township has now opted out as well. So I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on that. We'll be talking about that more in the future, I'm sure. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Ryan, you're up.
Okey-dokey. I'll start off with the next Sussex County COVID State of Affairs briefing will be this Friday, May 7th at 10 a.m. The Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce, our next Sussex South meeting is Friday, May 14th. The next Chamber of Commerce B2B breakfast is Tuesday, May 11th. The next B2B after hours is May 18th on Tuesday. And we're gearing up for Expo 2021. We have slotted the date of June 22nd. And mark your calendars because Sussex County Day will be coming up on September 19th. The Sussex County MUA, the next Sharps disposal event will be on May 6th. The next paper shredding event is May 21st. And the next e-waste event is May 22nd. To follow on the heels of what John said about the Marijuana Commission, I've received a lot of feedback, and so has John, via email. We made it all out. We want people to contact us and tell us what they want to see as far as legislation in town. That's what our committee is going to do. We're looking at zoning. We're looking at the recreational marijuana legislation as it applies to our town. We've already made it so that we've opted out. That has given us the opportunity to opt in if we so choose. Now, I've had a lot of feedback. I'd like to have a lot more. You can email John Young and myself. My email address is rsmith@hopatcong.org, and John's is jyoung@hopatcong.org. Now, note, this does not apply to medical marijuana. Medical marijuana facilities, a dispensary is already permitted in our town. This has nothing to do with medical marijuana. This is solely about the 6 classes of licenses for recreational marijuana. We want to decide which of those 6 classes, if any, we want to have in our town, how many of each license we want to allow in our town, and where they should be located. That's the information we're looking for. So please feel free to email us with your opinions. If you think we shouldn't have it in our town at all, tell us that too. It's really up to you. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Jen, you're up.
Hi, everyone. School is back in session half day. We have been doing well. I'm glad my kids are in school. Wanted to, on the ambulance committee, ambulance golf outing is May 23rd at Farmstead. Please register by 5:16 by calling 973-770-0440. In addition, I know that this is not my committee, but that's okay. I attended, Randolph had an open public forum last week, the 28th, and it was fascinating. They gave a really, really nice Zoom presentation on all of the laws and probably the same webinar, very similar to what you and what Ryan and John attended. And I would suggest that having an open public forum, I think that that would be a really, really great way to get some solid feedback from residents and answer questions for them. And that's all. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Thank you, Jen. Ron, administrative report.
Thank you, Mayor. Jen, real quick question. Was that open forum in open public or was it done in Zoom?
It was done in Zoom and it was a Zoom call. So there were no pictures. It was just basically like whatever you typed in. So
Okay.
like on Urson's, I can see John Urson, but I can't see his face. It was only basically that and whatever name you typed in, and people were to ask any kind of questions. And what their cannabis committee was going to do was they were making a list of all of the questions that were asked during that forum. They are going to come up with they're going to type out all the questions, answer them, and then post them on the website, post them on their township on their township Facebook page. And then they're having another second forum. I can't remember when, but I'll email it to you. It was really very well done. It was,
I was just curious. Yeah, I was curious of the format. I didn't know if they had done it in person or not. That's a good idea.
yeah, and it was just questions. People came out and they had 3 minutes each. They asked all of their questions, they logged them, and they're going to be answered in due time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, I've only got a couple of things. I got notice today from the county that they're going to have a pop-up vaccination site tomorrow. The county health department's going to have a pop-up vaccination site tomorrow at Mountain Creek. And they are currently taking any, sessions of walk-ins all there. They're going to open it up as much as they can. I would have to say, I went to Rockaway today and got my first shot, and it is very well done there. I got there at 8:45. I was out by 9:20, and it was a very good process. So as anybody needs to get their vaccination, there's very good opportunities to do that now with the county of Sussex and with Morris County. Lastly, we have gone out for bids with the paving, and we're waiting the timing on that. It's been advertised. We're waiting for that to come back in. We're hoping that the bids come back in lower than the co-op prices. So maybe that we can stretch our paving a little bit more than what we planned. But right now, that's a hope that the bids come in lower than the standard co-op pricing. Other than that, that's all I got right now, Mike.
Where's Mountain Creek?
Mountain Creek is up in Vernon.
Well, that's really good for a pack on, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, well,
As usual. So maybe we can request that they do something in the pack on one day.
I am having lunch with the department head of human services, Carol Narvert, tomorrow, and we're going to talk a lot about what they can provide it back on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll entertain a motion now to open the meeting to the public.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, an opportunity will be given to public for commentary. Comments are limited to one comment of no more than 5 minutes. Okay, Ron, you got it.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone that from the public would like to make a comment, go to your lower right reactions button, hit the raise hand, and I will bring you in.
All right,
Well, I don't see anyone.
I don't either, Rich.
all right. Give me a motion.
I'll make a motion to bring it back.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're back. All right, approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 21st, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion for the minutes of the executive meeting on April 21st, 2021.
So made.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-72, approval of the bills list.
Thank you. Does anyone need anything removed or discussed? Not hearing or seeing any, Mayor, I will move the bill list in its entirety.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Approval of the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Ordinance is introduction, ordinance 12, 2021, authorization for the auction of borough-owned property. An ordinance of the Borough of Hopatcong, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the sale of certain property owned by the borough and not required for public purposes, more commonly known as 32 Tufts Trail, 12 Keith Road, 24 Staten Trail, 214 Knox Way, and 210 Brown Trail.
So move it.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
yes,
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
yes,
Mr. Young.
Yes.
And there are no ordinances on the agenda for final hearings. Resolution 2021-75.
Here we have another ordinance, though. Ordinance 13, 2021.
Where is it?
We skipped one, Mike.
Oh, yeah, okay. I read too fast. Ordinance 13, 2021, amending chapter 108, fees for land use application, an ordinance of the Borough of Hopatcong, County of Sussex, and State of New Jersey, amending chapter 108. Ron, let me ask you, what did we change on this ordinance?
I'm trying to look at it now, Mike. I knew you were going to ask it. I'm going up there now.
Yeah, I can answer, Mayor.
Let's see.
Okay.
There was a requirement that these payments be made in certified funds. That was
Yes.
kind of a business unfriendly clause that really wasn't necessary.
Okay.
These checks are made in plenty of advance time of the hearing. If somebody were to bounce a check insufficient funds, that is its own problem. And the requirement of getting somebody to go get certified funds is unnecessary. So that's where the request came from.
Okay, fine.
So we changed wording in this because I had this question, because what I read in the code book is exactly word for word what's here.
Hmm.
18-1A 16. I don't know what changed.
Well, I'm getting there. I can flip back and forth on my screen, but if the word certified is no longer in front of check, that's what we changed.
It
Right.
says certified check. I'm looking at it.
All right.
Okay, so I move that we strike certified. Is that right,
Right.
John?
That's the intent of it, yes.
Yes,
It's already done.
So we're taking out the word certified?
correct.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
yes,
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
yes,
Mr. Young.
And let me just explain, that was a good catch, Johnson, I appreciate that. We took it out in B. I didn't catch that it
Right.
was also in A. It
I-
was
Right,
to be
yeah.
taken out in two places, and I missed that one, so.
I understood. And in B, I see the difference in B, but in A, we want to strike certified from A.
Yes.
We wanted to get it in both places, so.
Got it.
thank
I
you.
thought the fees were going up and I was looking through it and we're going from $100 to 900. And then I was like, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, I got it.
No.
Understood.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Resolution 2021-75, refund of water connection fee.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
yes,
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
yes,
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-76, appointment of Fred Samarow as conflict attorney for assessment matters.
So moved.
So move it. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
yes,
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-77, rescinding the 2020 line striping contract with Denville Line Striping for Broadway and Monroe Trail.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
This is because our contract, our contract has expired with them, so we're not paying them out this money or giving it to them. It's set aside.
Correct.
You're right, it's a DOT requirement. We have to pull it back because we've gone out to bid, so we had to pull these back.
Got it.
So
Okay.
we have to
Yes.
officially do that.
Thank you.
all right, Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Young.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-78, rescinding the 2020 paving contract with Tilcon, Broadway and Monroe Trail. The same
So moved.
example.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Okay, now we're at old business, which is public hearing and final adoption of the 2021 municipal budget. And Lorraine, I turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If everyone's ready, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as long as I can figure it out.
I have a question, Lorraine. I didn't receive the budget.
Okay, the official budget is definitely posted on our website. If you want, I can email you tomorrow the copy of the official budget if you can't find it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
Lorraine, nothing has changed since the introduction, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't have a copy. I don't have a copy from the introduction either.
Okay, well, we'll definitely get that to you. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
I can get the slideshow to start. We'll be in good shape. Okay, so we're just going to have to look at it this way. I'm sorry. If everyone can see, the slides will probably be along the left, but just trying to ignore that part. So tonight we are hearing for our annual municipal budget. 2021 is the third year that we have no tax increase. Our prior budgets built a fund balance that has enabled us to weather the current pandemic financial crisis that many municipalities across the state of New Jersey find ourselves in. This budget was a very determined effort from the mayor and finance committee to continue to restrict our budget allocations while maintaining the full services for our public. Looking at our revenues in our 2021 budget, you can see some pretty large variations. Last year, we invested heavily in capital and used a one-time increase of our fund balance as a revenue to pay for it. You can see this year, our fund balance has decreased back to 0.9 million, which has been our average over the past couple of years. Our local revenue includes licenses and permits, court fines, interest, interlocal and construction receipts, and you can see that that was the largest hit with the pandemic shutdown.
Lorraine, excuse me, are you actually going individually each slide? We just see the front page.
Okay, so you're not advancing with me?
No.
No.
Okay, let me stop screen share and
Okay.
see. And of course, I can't even see that anymore. How about, can you see that?
Nope, all we see is the cover page, Lorraine.
Okay. How's that?
There you
There we
go.
go.
There you go. Good job.
That's better?
Yep.
And I totally found mine, so I apologize. Totally
Oh,
found
you're
it.
okay,
I'm good.
as long as you have it.
Yep.
This category, I think I was up to grants. They have decreased substantially from the prior year, but as they are offset fully by spending appropriations, there's no actual net impact on our budget. Last year, we had a couple of grants that we do not have repeating here. That is the aeration grant, large DOT grant, and our HUD grant. Throughout the year, as we're awarded different grants, we can add them into a budget that, into our budget by passing a resolution by the governing body that the and have to give us permission to actually insert into our budget. Miscellaneous revenues include our cell tower fees, the cable TV franchise fee, fire prevention fees, and new for this year, we have have the much worked on solar field of 23,000 and the sale of assets for 96,000. The solar field lease fee continuing each year, but the sale of assets is a one-time revenue. Our receipts from delinquent tax decreased over $100,000 for a pretty positive reason. We actually have a smaller balance of receivables that we started 2021 with, and tax collection rate increased from 97.5 to 98.01. So we have actually less to collect in 2021.
You're not advancing, Lorraine.
I haven't changed any.
Haven't moved.
Okay.
Haven't changed yet,
Impact on
Mike.
budget revenues.
All right.
Are you telling me I'm talking too long on the slide?
No, that's okay. Do your thing.
Have
And
the
another 20 minutes on this slide.
the budget in front of you, you should be okay.
Our taxation actually increased by 25,000. That's not a tax increase. That's just due to the increase in our assessments. So the values of our properties went up. We're able to take a little bit more in local taxes. It shows that there's a local tax increase of 0.002, is 200. It's really due just to rounding from the local open space tax. There's no tax increase this year. Okay. Did everybody advance?
Yep.
All right, good. So people may be asking themselves, where does the money come from that we use in our budget? This is a graphic representation of our funding sources. One note that is one of my pet peeves on the aid/energy category, our state aid is really only $32,000. The $921,000 additional that's included in that category is from energy receipts. A long time ago, energy receipts were a local revenue, just like the cable franchise fee, and the state decided that it was burdensome for local municipalities in New Jersey to collect, so they helped us by them collecting it for us. And then they pay it, or I suspect a portion of it, back to us under the guise of state aid. Each year, the aid portion of this year decreases and the energy portion magically increases so that the sum of the two is still the same. Okay, we have two caps in our budget. The first one that we're going to talk about is our levy cap. It's a state imposed cap, and it limits the amount that we can increase our tax levy by each year. Our local levy this year is $13,360,000. The maximum that we could increase would be that 15 million figure that shows. Our actual levy is 1.7 million below what it could have been. Looking at the other side of our budget, our spending appropriations, you can see that our spending units are detailed here, and it's comparing this year's appropriation that's proposed to what we adopted for last year. Just to go through each of the categories, general government is pretty much all of the offices here in the municipal building. The assessment, collection, construction, zoning, work, finance, council, administration, and also our professionals, our IT, our auditor, attorney, and our engineer. The $48,000 increase here is for wage increases for the 27 employees and 4 professionals that are included in this category. Our insurances cover medical, public, and professional with the related expenses. Public safety, which we'll go into in a little bit more detail a couple slides up, includes our police, dispatch, OEM, fire, the emergency squad, our lowest contribution, prosecution, court, and public defending. The savings here in that department is due to some retirements in our police department and replacing a full-time person in our court department with a part-time person. The finance committee is always looking at new ideas to try and save taxpayer money. Public Works is the DPW, buildings and grounds, and vehicle maintenance. A good portion of the increase in this year's budget is due to that great winter season that we had. While I love the snow, I understand that not everyone does, and that the maintenance and safekeeping of the roads during the storms leads to a lot of overtime. And our public works employees work very hard to keep the roads safe during snowstorms. Also leads to increased costs for salt and repairs on the vehicles that are working hard to keep the roads cleaned. Solid waste includes garbage, collection, the disposal, recycling, and bulk waste. This is a contractual increase for collection that increases this line item. Our health and recreation includes public health, our resource center, environmental health, animal control, seniors, and recreation. The utilities and statutory includes the utilities that we pay as a borough, like electricity, lighting, our telephone and fuel. Statutory includes the pensions that we pay for all the eligible employees and the employment taxes. Capital debt and grants is pretty self-explanatory. The large decrease this year is mostly due to our capital contribution that decreased by a little over $1 million. I mentioned during revenue that we had a large use of fund balance last year for some one-time capital projects. Our contribution this year is much smaller than it has in the past couple of years, but we hope to recover from the pandemic financial crisis and back to contributing a little bit more heavier in the future. 2021 is the last year for our general taxation to make their bond payment, and we anticipate using that $650,000 to help fund our capital moving forward in future years. Grants in this category, they vary wildly from year to year. It depends on just what the grants are that we have. Like I said, we didn't have the aeration and the HUD and the DOT grants for this year, so it's decreased dramatically. If we receive grants throughout the year, we still have the option to add them in, like I mentioned earlier, and the revenue offsets the appropriations, so there's no net cost to taxation. The last category here is the reserve for uncollected taxes, or this appropriation acts like an allowance for doubtful accounts in commercial accounting. Since we have to pay our school and county 100% of their levy, which is what the revenue is that they need to pay their budgets, anyone that pays their taxes late or doesn't pay their taxes at all of that comes out of our share of the taxes. We shoulder the entire burden for unpaid taxes. So that $1.7 million is the amount that we have to raise over and above what we actually need for our budget to make sure that the cash flow coming in is sufficient to meet all of our operational expenses. Looking at where we spend your tax dollars, on this pie chart, you can see that about 26% goes to public safety. Utilities with statutory insurance and works each take 12 and 13%. The RUT is 9% of our entire budget, and that's just under the 10% that we spend for general. Whoops. Since public safety is 26% of our entire municipal budget, we're going to take a little bit closer look to see that category. At just over $3.6 million, our police department is the largest portion of this, and they account for 77% of our public safety budget. Dispatch, at a cost of just over $450,000, accounts for 10% of our public safety budget. The second cap that we have to contend with is our appropriations cap. Our whole budget is just over $18 million. Certain appropriations are not limited, like our debt, our capital, LoSAP, local agreements, grants, and the RUT that we just spoke about. Every year we pass a cap ordinance that makes it possible for us to take advantage of the maximum amount of appropriations that's permitted, but have not in any recent years at least used any amount of that monies that are stored in the bank. Our budget for all appropriations, called our inside the cap appropriations, is just over that $14 million figure there. And we could have increased appropriations by another $870,000 and still been within the state permitted amount. Looking at how the tax dollar is actually broken out, we receive about 28% of each tax dollar. The county receives 21% and the school receives 51%. This is based on estimating that the school and the county will each increase their levies by 2%. All of the information so far has been about our current fund budget, everything that's in our general taxation, but the borough also has 2 utilities and they operate like individual companies inside the municipal umbrella. First, we have our water utility that provides quality drinking water to over 2,200 units in town. Comparing our revenues from 2021 to 2020, we can see that we're using less balance and more user fees with only a $5,000 change in the overall budget from last year. Our appropriations were pretty close to where they were in prior. Our sewer utility serves almost 3,200 units. Looking at the revenue comparison, we're using a lot less fund balance this year, and we're increasing the amount we're anticipating for our sewer rents. There has been another rate reduction scheduled for this year, and that will decrease the amount of revenue that we anticipate from sewer rents in our 2022 budget. All the budget increased about $50,000 for our sewer utility, and that's mostly due to operational cost increases. And our last slide is the mayor's favorite slide. This is a quick look at just at our debt. You can see from 2010, our debt has been steadily decreasing. This year, we weren't as aggressive in our pay down of our short-term note, just because we were trying to be a little bit more cautious in this financial uncertainty, but hopefully next year we'll come back to it a little bit stronger and pay a little bit more than we did this year. Council is very aware that to continue to have little or no tax increase moving forward in future budget years, we'll have to be cautious and very creative in finding efficiency improvements in our internal operations. The traditional phrases of do more with less and think outside the box are part of our everyday ongoing budget conversations that we have in the borough. I hope this information provides some insight for the budget, and the full budget again is posted on our website if anybody would like to review that incredibly long document. Also, our auditor is on the meeting tonight, Ray Sarinelli, and if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Just direct them to Ray. Does anybody have any questions?
Ray, would you like to say a few words?
There we go. Yeah, I just have something very brief compared to that. I think Lorraine did a great job of getting into the details. Before I go any further, actually, I'm Ray Sarinelli, for those of you who haven't met me. I work with Nisavacia. We're the auditors appointed for 21. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, since we haven't worked together before, like I said, Lorraine did a good job of getting into the details on things. As a CPA, I'm independent of management, so I can't make those management type of decisions like what insurance plan you should join or how many DPWs workers you should have, things like that. What I can do is help you interpret those decisions, how they affect you financially, and what that's going to mean moving forward. So that when I look at your budget, I don't look so much at the fine details, but more big picture, planning, those types of things. And so when I look at this budget, it's really good at meeting needs of this year. We're coming off of a tough year, and we're continuing on, obviously, through the pandemic. We're still in quite a tough spot to really know what the future is going to hold. So, I know that there was in my priority put on having no or low tax increase. So that's what this budget is. And so something that, I look at going forward is the long-term planning, the financial stability, and trying to help you with your long-term goals. So as Lorraine said, you made a huge investment in capital last year. You drew down on fund balance. What are we going to do going forward, and how do we keep the financial stability of the town moving forward? And that's looking at capital planning, debt service planning, tax planning, things of that nature. So those are things that I'd like to work with you on moving forward. But overall, this is a good budget for this year, trying to come in with the goal of having a low to no tax increase. So just kind of my thought on the budget, and obviously, as Lorraine had mentioned, any questions I'd be happy to help you with.
If any of the public have any questions, feel free at this time. You say anyone?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Sarinelli, how long do you think that we can continue? Because all I see in the budget presentation, Lorraine, which was very wonderful, how long can we maintain at a 0% increase while all of the other costs are going up? Because when you're talking about raises, right, there's a natural raise, a 3% cost of living or whatever it is. So how long can we maintain at a 0% increase, which is fantastic as a resident and a taxpayer, I love it. But how can we maintain that with everything else going up? And from what I understand from Lorraine's presentation, our fund balance is now getting depleted, which, I mean, for me makes me a little nervous, but I'm not the financial lady. So how long can we maintain that?
I used to be able to look at a balance sheet and look at a budget and tell you in a few minutes, you know, what everything would be. The last year and a half has been incredibly difficult to make predictions or make assumptions on things because things are constantly changing. When the pandemic happened, you know, our entire company, you know, the entire state of New Jersey was incredibly concerned. How are we going to collect taxes? You just heard that your tax collection rate went up. So those kinds of things, it is very hard to predict. The fact that you've had 3 years in a row with little or no tax increase, it would be very hard to continue to sustain that without having to reduce taxes going forward. So I would say you're probably close to that point where in next year's budget, it would be very difficult to come in with no tax increase and still being able to maintain the amount of services that you have. So while there are things that, you know, I know you are all working on some pilot agreements and other things that are in the works that are hopefully going to help with revenues. Just the fact that you said expenses continue to go up and you haven't had a tax increase for 3 years, it's going to put pressure on the tax rate moving forward. That said, we could be sitting here next year and a lot of things might have changed. And
oh, of course, look what happened in the last year.
Right. So I would say you're very close to nearing the end of having low to no tax increase, but you know, over the last year I've learned to never say never, and we'll see what happens over the next year or so and see what the budget comes in at next year.
Got it. Thank you so much.
It also it depends on.
I would like to ask a question. Lorraine, what is our fund balance for next year going to be? You're muted.
Yeah, I know. I can look through my computer now to see if I have my study of it. I think I have it on my budget copy.
The reason why I'm asking is because the Finance Committee and many of us on the council have discussed that we want to bring that fund balance down into a tighter position. And, you know, Jen, I just want to let you know that that's what we've been trying to do. And this is part of the reason. Moving forward, Ray is correct. We're going to have to really watch our dollars and see where we go. But part of the other flip side, the revenue end, you know, we're hoping that we're going to get some new building or commercial in, which will help the bottom line.
Yeah, and I like the hope, but you know, that's, and was there a plan in place to lower the fund balance from one number to another? Was there we discussed over a couple of years or over a couple of months or a year or?
Yes, we discussed it and we've been working towards doing it because the fund balance was higher and we thought it was too much.
Right. So do you remember the plan, what it was and what it was supposed to be and over how long?
I don't have that right in front of me or whatever, but I mean, just to drop it down over the last few years. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Right. And are we there, Lorraine, where we were supposed to be?
We're close. We're close to what our goal was. We're in the range of what our goal was. We still have a little bit more that we can drop that down. As of where we ended the year of 2020 and where I'm anticipating we'll end 2021, we'll be about $300,000 lighter in fund balance at the end of 2021 if everything stays back where we are right now. Again, that's not quite a crystal ball. It's a little bit of an educated guess, but there's a lot of things that could happen between now and then that would really change that. But as of the end of the year where I think we're going to be very close to our range. We'll be right there. We don't have a lot of fund balance to give away after that.
We won't.
No.
Got
And
it.
Jen, I like your point, hope and a prayer. Well, part of the whole reason why we're all here, especially the finance committee, is we hope and pray every day and we work on it. And this is a project moving in motion that we're always tweaking. And hopefully it's going to hit right where we want it to.
Listen, there's no hope here. There's no prayer here. We're working very hard on this strategy to increase revenue and decrease cost. Okay, I'm not a financial wizard, but I have to tell you, when you start making more than you spend, you're probably in a better place. So we're encouraging development. We're in the last stages of working on our new area of redevelopment, which is going to be basically from Hudson Maxim School to the State Park. We had a lot of hoops to jump through with the Highlands Council. We're almost done with that. The Highlands Council is paying for that study. When we get that study done, we'll start doing lot line adjustments. And the thing it allows to do, and we're working on a project now, the land use board worked last night on a project to bring in significant housing development. Hopefully we can orchestrate that so it starts materializing when we pass the area redevelopment and we can run a pilot program. Redevelopment is extremely important to revenue in the sense that when we do the pilot program, which is a form of tax abatement, it's a 5-year plan. And over 5 years, you go from 0 to 100% of your assessment, which is your payment. And so 95% of that town comes to the borough, 5% goes to the county. At the end of 5 years, the town typically makes 2.5 times they would normally have made on regular taxation. So if you follow that math and you follow that strategy, and we get people to come in along Lakeside Boulevard and start developing significantly, then you'll see that revenue start to come up disproportionately more than the cost. So the assumption that nothing new is going to happen is not very accurate. If nothing new happens, then we could be in trouble with holding a flat tax increase. That's not a good assumption. Our job as a governing body and administration is to make sure that we encourage people to invest in our town and make that investment count towards our tax revenue. And so that, in essence, is going to be our strategy. And when the time comes to make some harder decisions, certainly won't shy away from that. So the point I'm making is everything in that we see today may or may not be static in the near future. And so that means you might see significant changes. There are opportunities where we're paying for stuff now that we're going to look into and maybe cut that cost in half or more. And when we're doing that, when we avoid costs, we might be able to even cut that expense. So it's too early to be too specific, and I don't mean to be not specific, but I can't see stuff that we're still looking into on different ways to do things at a lower cost and still supply the same effective service. That's a challenge, and we have to use our intellect. And what gives me so much confidence is the people that we have working for the borough, our administrator, our CFO, our tax officers, and our council. And so we have these opportunities. We're very, very aggressive on doing grants. You'll see some paving this year with significant numbers. We're just doing paperwork now to do more paving in 2022. So, we're thinking a couple of 1, 2, 3 years ahead. That we really can't advertise a lot of that yet, but I can tell you that it's not doom and gloom for me. We have to be up to the challenge, and challenges change. Change frightens people. I understand that. But sometimes if we want to our town affordable, we have to have that change. And it's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to be out of people's comfort zones. I can tell you that right now. But it's going to be for the benefit of our town. So you're just going to have to bear with, if you're public, bear with our governing body. If you're our governing body, bear with our professionals. And we're going to do the right thing. And hopefully at the end of the day, we can make them numbers work for us so that we can do, and I'm determined to have another zero tax increase next year. So, I'll take that challenge, and we have a lot of hard work to do that. I get that. We had a tremendous fund balance and now it's becoming, I forget what the number we had, Lorraine, it was 20% or 25%. We picked a percentage of budget that we never want to go below with fund balance. So I'll tell you a story about 2007 when I got elected. There was no fund balance. Our people at that time said, you know, we might not even make the payroll. How about that for a newly elected official? And so we swore, I committed that would never happen again, and it won't. So it swung a little bit up, but we made that adjustment a little bit at a time. Slow and steady wins. You know that I don't like dramatic changes, because when you change too dramatically, you might have to go back. If you cut too much, you might have to go back and raise, and we never want to do that. I'll use the sewer fee, for example. Can we cut more? Maybe. Should we? No. We're gonna keep a nice, steady, downward incline, if we can, on our utility cost, if it's at all possible. And when it comes to our taxation, we want to keep that flat. That's the least we can do for our people. And we're committed to doing that, by the way. So it's a strategy we're developing. The finance committee is now talking about strategic plan, strategic spending. You know, what's it look like long term? We're thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of it. And so, you know, some of the conversation we have would scare you if you didn't know, but I'm not afraid of that. And so we're going to keep being creative. We're going to keep being aggressive. You know, we're going after, I believe it's $750,000, $800,000 grant for our water company. I believe we can get that. It's an 80-20 split. Anytime you get a dollar and only have to pay 20 cents back, that's not a bad day. So we're going to continue that. Hopefully we get where there is no match, but unfortunately, them days are going away. So I just want to be clear on what our goals and objectives and strategies going to be financially. And that's a little bit for you too, Ray. So you need to know where we come from. The finance committee is Brad Hopatcong and Rich Schindler and myself. And we do have some pretty serious conversations time to time because we're very different. But at the end of the day, I believe we present a product to the town that keeps our taxes flat, still keep our quality of life in a good place, and still maintain our services to our residents in our community. So hopefully, I hope I helped you understand what we're going to try to do financially, and I hold Ray Sarinelli's group responsible to keep us on track, and Lorraine is the best counter you ever had, and Ron knows his ins and outs with administrative stuff to keep us all out of jail. So, and I depend on the council to help vet the stuff that we present. And that's how we're going to do business. Hope that helped you.
I have a quick question. I'm thinking about trends. I don't have 2019 in front of me, Mr. Sarinelli, but insurance tends to trend upward. I noticed that between 2020 and 2021, there's almost a $200,000 increase. Can we expect that same increase year after year? Because if so, that's a trend that's going to also get us in the weeds. Why the big increase?
So like I said, I don't look at the details of things, but you're absolutely right. The trends of things are that insurance is increasing.
Okay, I'm a nurse and I see that.
Maybe Lorraine can
But
answer.
I don't see a trend like that where I'm working with the insurance. So maybe we could look at those little details.
Yeah, I can.
Because I don't want a trend like that.
Yeah, are you saying that our insurance went down from 2019 to 2020?
Well, I don't have 2019 in front of me, so
Okay.
what I'm trying to see is the difference between 19, between 20, between 21. All 20 and 21 is the $200,000 increase.
Okay, so in 2018, our budget for our insurances was $2,232,000. 19, it went down $200,000 to $2,092,000. In 2020, it went down even more to $1.89 million. This year, we came back up to the 2 million number, 2,000,001. mostly because of the deductibles. The reason that it had trended down is because we made the change to a high deductible plan for most of the employees. We anticipate it going down again in 2022 because we're in the process now of joining the state health benefits plan, which is a very decent tax savings for us.
So that should be in effect by 2022,
Yes.
where we see a decrease, a trend
Yes.
down.
We'll be live on the state health plan effective August 1st, if everything stays according to plan, which it better because we're all counting on it. And we'll start to save right away.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. There's other parts of that as well. It's not just medical insurance. It's so our professionals and our public officials insurance that's included in that. They tend to go up every year.
Okay. All right. Any more questions?
Ron, you're muted.
Mike, you have a public hand up. Mary, you're on.
Hi, I'd like to know how lawsuits impact our insurance costs.
That's more of a legal question.
Yeah, it's a combination. So I'll jump in and give a little bit of an answer. Lawsuits can impact us in probably 3 different ways. The first is if we get sued, even in defending a case, even if it doesn't have merit, we have defense costs and we pay deductibles. That's number 1. Number 2, if we suffer losses over time, and our ratings change, and so our insurance premiums will change. And the third thing is obviously if we ever have any legal issues that would not be covered by insurance. And I'm off the top of my head, I can't think of any of those in any recent time. But that's the way that the legal issues would impact, you know, both budget and our insurance rating.
Well, and so part of the answer to that is the courts have not been kind to the borough. If we get a lawsuit, if someone sues us and we spend $10,000 in legal fees and then the court throws it out and we win, the court has not been willing to let us countersue for legal charges. But I have to tell you, I'm going to be a little more aggressive with that also. So if someone wants to get silly, sue us over nothing, and we win, expect that I'm going to be very aggressive on collecting them costs, whoever did that. So John, you can jump in on that, and I would make a strong argument than we have been, but we're not going to be anybody's patsy. We can't afford that anymore. So if someone wants to sue us for any reason and we do a good job and win, expect us to countersue for legal charges.
Yeah, Mayor, I can think of, you know, 3 cases in the last few years that were really completely frivolous, that the borough had money defending, won the cases, and courts are hesitant under a lot of circumstances to award a sanction of attorney's fees. So that is not just for the borough, but that is a real issue for a lot of public entities, and that has certainly cost the borough some money in the last few years.
So someone might blame our attorneys, but really I hold the judge accountable for that. That's a funny group of people, man. I'll tell you, some of them I like and some of them I just don't get. But that's the reality of what I'm trying to explain when we deal with money. And so we will be, and then it's another place where we're going to be a little more aggressive, and I'll hold our attorney's feet to the fire on that. And if the judge says no, we'll go to another court. And if we have to pay to collect the money, I will. But the point I'm going to make with people is we're not going to just roll over for you. Sorry, them days are over. Okay. Any more questions on the budget?
The issue would not be covered, just as a general, not that we were sued or.
Mary, you're breaking up.
I said, could you give us just a general, not necessarily we were lawsuit or we sued anybody, but just a general issue that will not be covered.
I'm sorry, I can't hear the question.
Can't either.
And what's not covered, John? I know it's I think that's what I heard.
Sure, Mayor. So that's kind of a big question. So I think you would really define it the other way. You know, we buy insurance, and I would be specific. For example, we buy workers' comp insurance, required to by law, covers all of our employees for all work-related injuries on the job. We have insurance to cover claims against our police officers, against employment practices. We have general liability insurance. That might be somebody tripping on the sidewalk or damage done by a municipal vehicle or someone injuring themselves on something at a park or something. So we buy insurance coverage with our risk manager to cover all of the things that we anticipate that could create claims, and specifically where insurance is provided. The things that generally are not covered by insurance, labor relations, union issues and grievances and negotiations, those look like claims, but they're not things that are covered. And then probably the biggest category of things that would be covered are things that are very contractual in nature. So if we have a dispute with a paving company, it's not a matter of whether we bought insurance for that or not buy insurance for it. Generally, contract claims are not covered by insurance. So those are things that we would deal with ourselves as a entity. But I think I've been around the borough a long time, and I'm very confident in the insurance package that the borough picks with our risk manager. They're evaluated every year, and they're very comprehensive.
Thank you, John. Hope that helped.
Thank you.
All right, so we're about done with the budget. Do we need a motion on this budget?
We do.
John?
Sorry, Judge. Sorry, Mayor. I was muted. Yes, you need a motion.
I'll entertain a motion on the adoption of the budget.
So move the budget.
Second,
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
yes.
Thank you. This is a job that we're all involved in, by the way. We move forward, you'll learn, I mean. So I want to make a quick comment about COVID. Please be careful. We're doing better, but it ain't over. It's nowhere near being over, so please be careful. From January 4th to April 4th, we've had 966 cases in the borough with 16 deaths. Last month, we had a couple of days, 3 days in a row with no increase, and I was so pleased with that. And then it went 2, and then 4, then 7, and then 8 in the borough. This is all borough numbers. So if you look at the curve was, if you can picture, 361 to 163 to 297 to 134. If you look at that funny little curve, those are the total numbers per month in January. So I'd like to believe it's trending down. In January it was 361, and then in February it was 163. In March it was 297, and then in April it was 134. So it's kind of working itself down. So please encourage your friends and family to get vaccinated. I know it's a personal choice, but by God, I think it's working. And so it's still a personal choice. It's up to you. But if you don't, please keep being careful. It's very important. I think the final arrangements on our survivor tree, it looks like we might go pick it up on May 14th. And for those who don't know, the survivor tree is a a seedling that was raised from the original flowering tree at the World Trade Center. And so we're looking forward to get that. It will be planted in Fireman's Park, which is the appropriate place for it being. And it's a big deal. We're going to make a big deal out of it, and hopefully we can get that and make this a good thing for our town. I feel blessed that we're able to get it. I'm thankful that we're able to get it. It's a big deal. So that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.